Hello friends, welcome back to the bench. Thank you very much for joining me. Our patient here is a motherboard. It was in the box of B650 ROG Strix B650E, but I can't see the actual markings on the board. It's probably underneath the heat sinks over there. Oh no, it is. Yeah, it's very hard to read. Yeah, B650E. F gaming Wi-Fi. Yeah, it does have Wi-Fi. No optical output, audio output, which I like because it's free of interference, right? It doesn't have that annoying buzzing sound, especially when the load is high on the board. Now, we have a little message over here from Justin. Hi, first off, I enjoy your YouTube content. Thank you very much. I'm always happy to hear that. Thanks for all the knowledge you share and taking a look at my motherboard. I purchased it open box, exactly how I am sending it to you, minus the Ziploc bag. Yeah, there's a Ziploc bag with the Wi-Fi antenna and probably some screws and stuff. No CPU socket cover, right? Yeah, and we'll take a look at the CPU socket in a second. I was brand new to PC building, so I didn't inspect it like I should. I fried my 7600 CPU and 32 gigabytes of RAM. Oh, ouch. That hurts. Thankfully, it did not get my GPU. Alright. Probably GPU is a lot more expensive than both of those items together. I replaced my RAM and CPU and purchased a lower end motherboard. If you can repair it in my budget range, that would be awesome because it has a lot more features than my current motherboard. If I cannot afford it, you're more than welcome to keep it and do what you like with it. I would something love to see you repair it in a YouTube video. It's a handwritten note, so I'm struggling with reading it. That's why. It's not because I can't read. All right. So Justin, first off, I don't repair motherboards, but I do socket replacements on them. Right? Let's get a multimeter. And let's do a little probing through, because what I'm worried about is why would your memory be fried, right? I would expect the CPU, sure, maybe, still kind of depends how the pins are bent, but yeah, if the V-core pin is touching some data line, then yeah, that could cause an issue, but still I wouldn't have thought. Let's see, the memory coil is good. The second memory coil is okay. The 3.3 volts is fine. 12 volts says open because we're on continuity, so that's fine. And 5 volts is fine. Negative 12, no one ever uses negative 12, so it's open. It's not even attached probably. V-core, it's fine. Right, there's some dummy load on it, but there's no short. I mean, the short could also be from the socket itself, right? If the pins are touching. And that's pretty much it. So I don't see any electrical problems here. So let's take a look at the socket. Yeah, something fell on it, right? This could actually probably even be fixed by bending the pins. Let's see a little closer. It's probably there's your problem, but still I don't see why would the CPU be fried, because so looks like these two pins are touching. So if, let me show you here. So this pin is touching this pin, right? So we have short on these two pins. This is definitely not V-core, or it's not ground. One of these is neither a V-core nor ground, but one of them could be either. So if this is like some kind of data line, right, and it touches the V-core over here, then yeah, that could potentially do some damage to the CPU. So yeah, this could be, the pin is whole, so yeah, this could be, if we wanted, we could correct the positions. Now let's see here. Also not too bad. This isn't too much damage. And we probably could have just corrected the pins, and it could work. Very minimum damage. But that's not what we do here. We don't bend pins. We replace sockets. So here's the deal. What we can do is replace the socket. That will cost you $75, shipping included. Okay? But I can't even test it because this is DDR5, I believe. I use DDR4s everywhere because I'm a cheap guy. So I can't really afford DDR5s, and I really don't need that extra speed. It's really unnecessary in my view, right, for my needs. So I can't really test it. Plus, my last power supply that I've been using for testing now is in my second rig that I need to finally get working, and so I can encode videos on that one, because this one, the GPU is decent on it. It's like 790, something like that. So it's not, it's not super bad, but it takes, especially the videos like this, where you get a time lapse of few hours of work. Even though the video is 30 minutes long, or maybe sometimes even like 10-15 minutes long, but it has been made from hours of footage. So if I speed it up, I usually speed it up by like 30 times, sometimes more. So all those frames still need to be processed, so the video takes hours to encode. So my solution to that is to just get a better computer, which I did. Oh, and I lost my... That always happens when I work on the boards. Anyways, I want to improve the speed of encoding videos, because it takes, especially since I do it on the same computer, that is the main issue. So when the video is encoding on this computer, right, I cannot use it for recording, otherwise the FPS drops, and there are weird glitches in the video that I'm recording if I'm encoding the video at the same time. So even if it's not very faster on the other one, that's fine. At least I'm not tying up the other computer, or tying up the other processes that I would want to do on this one. Why can it not be just two screws over here? Why does it have to be like that? Oh, there. See, that's the skill. I'm just kind of doing it a bit too fast, but lately I've been doing so many of these boards, it just, I just do it a little faster than I normally do it. Before we do, yeah, let's get the screws back. So I always put the screws back in where they came from, right? That way I don't have to look for them. Because before I used to just put them in the little box, right? But then you have to match. There's usually two, sometimes more kinds of screws, and it's kind of pain to just match them afterwards. But the board is ready. Now the problem here is this. See all this crap around? Like all this here, those cups, all this. That sucks. That sucks because normally what I do, I just put the protective cup or whatever we call it, this, right? We made it in another video, right? So I just place it like this or like this, right? I do my thing, remove the socket, remove this, clean the socket and everything, and then put the new socket on, put this on, and put the new socket on. But if you have this much crap around it, that's not gonna work. That's gonna just create more issues than it's worth. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just not gonna cover anything over here, and we'll see. Lately I've been doing a lot of these, and on some of them I wouldn't cover anything. The maximum temperature is around 205 on the at the top, and more important is the temperature from the bottom, actually not the top. So we're not gonna be covering it. Let's just quickly replace the socket. If it's visually, if it's good visually, and there's no other issues, then I'm just gonna send it back, and you owe me $75. That's it. Because if you want to keep it, if you want me to keep it, then you know I would just keep it for parts, because I don't need it, and I'm not going to be upgrading any of my computers anytime soon, because I just spent, I bought this one for, I don't remember, around maybe $350 for the motherboard with CPU and memory, 32 gigs of memory, and there's a little SSD with Windows on it, so it's kind of plug and play. Almost plug and play, because it didn't come with the heatsink and the fan, so I had to buy that separately. I already had all the other stuff that I needed, and I had to just buy the drive for higher storage, because that was like 128 gigs of SSD on it when I got it. So I have two computers that are kind of on the same shelf, so I'm not going to be upgrading anytime soon, and they're both Intel. I would prefer AMD because they seem to be better performant and more stable, but again, I'm not planning to do that. So basically I don't need it. So if you left it with me, it would just be thrown on a big pile of motherboards for parts. So I think it's gonna serve you better than me. Hopefully $75 is within your budget. Alrighty, let's get to it.
Sometimes you make me angry, but I know that it could always be worse, be worse, be worse. Baby, baby, no, I'm trying to forget you. Baby, I know everything that was about you. No, I'm joking, I'm looking for the bathroom. Round and round, yeah, round and round we go. Picture perfect, but so many flaws that stopped you. I don't wanna ever see you in the same room. I open up and then you hit on all my issues. Round and round we go, we go. I open up
And we're done. That's it. It looks good. Alignment looks good. This time I'm showing you the clean one, because usually I finish the video before I put it in the cleaner, because it takes a while to then dry it and stuff. There's a little bit of, see here, so it could have been cleaned maybe a little longer, maybe a couple more minutes in the ultrasonic cleaner, but you don't want to keep it for too long, because then it's gonna start eating away like all the stickers and markings on the board and stuff like that. So the shorter the better. And this is NC flux, so it's fine. It's not gonna have any corrosive effect. And did we lose any caps? Nope. All the caps are there. I was kind of worried about that because the thermocouple at the bottom, for some reason on this board, was sitting like here, right by the hole. That I don't know if you noticed, but the bottom heater temperature, the temperature of the heater, went to over 330 degrees or something like that. That's a little high. Normally it goes to like 280 to 90, maybe 300, but it shouldn't go to 350. It's a little scary if it goes that high, but if the thermocouple is close to the opening like here, it it cools down too quickly, so the heater needs to compensate. But other than that, the socket is sitting very well. It's all good. All corners are solid. Yep, everything's good. All right, so I'll wait for it to dry a little longer. I like to keep it for a few hours at least before I reassemble them, and after that I like to keep them for like a day or two in the dry place before I ship them back, because typically when you receive the board you want to test it right away, and it's not good when it's still moist, and there's plenty of moisture still everywhere, so that's not ideal. Alrighty, if you want it back, $75, shipping included. Give me your address and I'll ship it back. I can't even test it even if I wanted to, because I don't have DDR5 and I don't have a power supply now because I used it. I would have to get one, and I do have a CPU, but I don't know if my CPU is going to be compatible with this board. That's why I don't do boards. I don't do board repair because there's too many combinations of everything. So socket replacement is the only service I actually do on the motherboards. So if you're interested, it's either $50 or $75, depending whether you send it disassembled or assembled like this one. That's it. Thank you guys very much for watching. I do appreciate you, and I shall see you in the next one.